And basically, there came to a day where she had called me. It was, I want to say, almost 400 times, starting at 8 a.m., right? We started the day.
Call the cops. Fly back to Maryland.
It's crazy. So we started the day like that. She's calling me throughout the day. By the end of the day, I think it was like 387 calls that she had placed to me from 9 different phone numbers, because I would block one.
Here we go. All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Deal Podcast. Halloween edition.
Yeah, baby.
With your co-host, Captain Steve Rogers.
Captain Steve Rogers.
And Mr. Nicholas Fury.
Welcome. And
today we're going to hop into something that's kind of Halloween related. Let me take my stuff off.
All right, great. That was fun.
A whole episode. Great. Sorry, guys. But
okay. Well,
right,
first, real quick, just to address the elephant in the room, I am wearing sunglasses today. Something's going on with the eye. It's not cute to look at. I don't want you guys to think that I'm pretentious, because I'm not. All right, let's go ahead.
His girl beat him. I'm just kidding.
Not this one.
Okay. Jesus Christ. But in the spirit of Halloween, my elbow just fell off. In the spirit of Halloween, we are going to talk about scary stories to tell in the dark.
Ooh.
Or in this case, to tell in our podcast. But the scary stories aren't really scary. We're going to get into some X stories. So we're going to get pretty vulnerable with you guys. Probably tell you some things that we probably never really told each other. Maybe some stuff that really only our really closest friends know about us, because we're going to go into relationships and what we learned from them and basically why they failed. And maybe you can take some tips from them.
Hopefully. That's the idea.
Yeah.
If not, at least you'll be entertained by it.
Yeah. It should be a little entertaining show, maybe a little bit of a longer one. But a lot of the times we see people get into a relationship, we see the social media side of things, and then we see the breakup.
Right.
We don't know really what went beyond, what happened behind closed doors.
Nobody tells us. So
you guys are going to get the behind closed doors stories. Mm-hmm. We're not going to bore you with a super long story based on every single girl we've ever dated or told that we love them. But
we'll be here for a while.
Yeah. Right? We're just going to give you a breakdown of the story starting way back in high school, which I'm old-ish crap right now. So starting way back in high school. And then kind of go from there based on the relationships that we've been in. And
how we progressed since then,
exactly.
What's changed, all that other fun stuff.
Yeah. So Cleon, Mr. Nick Fury, go ahead and start us off. We're going to go all the way back to high school. This is 1998 for him. I'm just kidding. Guys.
Crazy. So high school, right? High school relationship. Funny story, not that funny when you think about it. So my first girlfriend was in high school. So I kind of started late on the dating train. Parents weren't really on that. So my first girlfriend who I was with, very nice young lady. And when I say nice, I mean she yelled at me a lot and cursed me out almost every other day when it got to a certain point. This was a girl I was sending, paragraphs to. I was on my real lover boy. It's your first girlfriend.
Were you writing letters?
I'm sending her those I know you're sleep butt texts, those things. Yeah. You remember those? So I'm sending those texts on a weekly basis. I'm head over heels. I'm in love with this girl. So it gets to a point where basically for me, I wasn't allowed to go out as a kid. So my parents basically, if it wasn't school, sports, or church, I was in the house. She had a problem with that after a certain point, because obviously you see the other high school couples running around who get to go to each other's house, go to the movies on the weekends, whatever it is that they do. And she would say, hey, we see all these other people doing this and I don't ever get to hang out with you. And I don't think I can do this anymore. So me, obviously, when you're...
So y'all never hung out at all?
Not twice ever. So it's partially understandable. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But
this is high school.
This is high school,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So basically, what happened was obviously as she's breaking up with me, your first breakup, you cry, right? Embarrassing. I'm 15, 16 years old. I'm crying as I'm texting her and obviously begging to stay together. And what she tells me, right, is she says to me, well, okay, so we can stay together, but I'll probably cheat on you, is what she says to me. And I'm going to cheat on you with somebody that can go out and hang out with me. And
from her point of view, it's almost understandable, but you just don't be in a relationship at that point. But I understand. It's also high school.
It's also high school. But to me, to phrase it like that, and as fragile as I was this is the first girl that I may have ever loved, right? Loved, what our idea was at that time. And that's what she tells me. So obviously, even then, I'm still begging for this relationship to happen and to work. And that, and it was crazy because obviously while we were together, like I said, it wasn't that great because every time she would get mad and lash out, that was kind of her thing at the time. So even through that, I'm begging to be with somebody who's talking to me insane on a daily basis. And then who has later told me that we can stay together, but then she's going to cheat on me. And yeah, so it was embarrassing to say the least at the time.
So that's where you learned your male gigolo phase right there?
That is that is 100% where I think it started. I think
the idea of it was like,
because after that you become just a little bit more numb to the whole feeling thing. It's like, what was the point of all that? What was the point of all those text messages and fighting to make it work just for somebody to tell me that?
So how did that fully end? Like that relationship in high school?
She ended up dating the guy she told me she was going to cheat on me with.
I can respect her honesty. If you're listening to this, I respect your honesty.
She stood on business, right, and going to be with
she
that.
Really did.
But the thing about it is that to this day, I mean, we're cool to this day. No.
Yeah, usually not.
But what we did do is that it's funny because we ended up getting back together the next year.
Yep, that happens.
Funny enough. We broke up again after that, and then I ended up dating somebody that was she was a cheerleader on her same cheerleading team. So that was a little bit of beef there. But I remember having a conversation with her one day in which I told her, I was like, if at that time, like if us at this age now, if you had talked to me now the way that you talked to me then, I'm like, I don't really know how far this would have got.
Oh, 100%.
But yeah, that's kind of where the phase started. It was kind of numbing me. I had an issue kind of with expressing my feelings after that. I had an issue with even trying to commit to one girl after that. Because after that was,
it's kind of like this girl that I loved, the quote unquote girl of my dreams, the first one that I really fell in love with, could so easily just be like, oh, if we can hang out, I want to be with this guy. So then you're just like, okay, now you're desensitized to the idea of a monogamous relationship, where like this girl I love doesn't want to love just me. So why would I ever do that? So I understand that, especially those early on relationships, they really like set the tone for the ones that you get in after that.
Exactly. So for you, where was that at for you? Where was that shaping moment for you?
So in my first one, the best part about that relationship was when we broke up, Drake had just released Take Care.
Oh, there it is.
So Marvin's Room was playing 24/7.
So we know what year he was in high school. Go ahead.
Long time ago. So that was a really good part of a terrible breakup.
Right.
But my first relationship, we started, like I was playing Little League football and she was a Little League cheerleader. I don't know how we really ended up meeting, but we started dating in middle school. So we started dating in like 8th grade and then dated for about 3 to 4 years until or maybe we started dating like 7th grade, one of the two. So I think we ended up breaking up the first time. It was like around sophomore year, something like that.
Right.
But this was a girl that I lost my virginity to.
Oh, wow.
I really wanted to actually, like, I was the safe sex till marriage kind of guy.
Yeah.
Until she randomly, like, wanted to do it one day. I'm like, no, like, I don't, like, why? There's no point to do it. Like, we can just wait. And then she's like asking again. I'm like, okay, sure. Ask your mom. Obviously, your dad's going to say no, but ask your mom.
I'm sorry. So you told her to ask her mom if it was okay for you to.
Yeah. lose my virginity.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure we're
So we're in high school, and then her mom agrees to it. So
she agrees to it.
Yeah.
How do you know how old her mom was?
No idea. She might end up listening to this episode or whatnot. But that'd be so. But anyways, she ends up agreeing to it. So whatever happens, we're still together, and we're in high school at this point, and I'm meeting my current two best friends now, and then I have a best friend at the time that they're already in a friend group, and they're playing sports. I'm playing sports, so they're like my sports buddies. You know what I'm saying? That ended up becoming my best friend. I was best man at their wedding. So everything ended up working out in the long run for those two. I spent a lot of time with my high school girlfriend, and I would bring her over to my friend's house while we would play sports and hang out and all that stuff. So
I feel like I see where this is going. Go ahead.
See exactly where this is going. So my best friend is best friends with my other two friends.
Okay.
And then he's also best friends with me. So he's like, I guess, the main guy of the group, essentially, because he's like best friends with me.
He's the middleman.
He brought me into this other friend group. And then fast forward down the road, I don't know, maybe a year later after all this hanging out, just randomly one night, she's like, I'm dating your best friend. I'm like, okay. Craziest story I ever heard.
I'm sorry. So wait, you were with her?
I was actually with the other two friends' house. I was at my buddy's house.
Okay.
And then I get like a text from her saying like, oh, we're breaking up because I'm with so-and-so. I'm like, am I reading this correctly?
Okay.
At the time, like, I was just so naive. Like, I thought that was the person I'd be with forever. Thought we'd get married.
Of course.
Yada, yada, yada. So this coming down on me as like a junior in high school, I'm just like, it felt like the world was crashing in. So I didn't know who to tell. Like, I'm telling my best friend, he's like, look, you'll be all right. Like, we'll get it handled. You'll be okay. I'm like texting her friends, my friends, like telling them the situation, like, don't know what to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And obviously no one really cares because it's not their situation.
Right.
But I'm just like, oh my God, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that happened. I'm friends with both of them now. But at the time, it was like, oh my God.
You're still friends with the ex now?
Yeah, both of them.
Okay. So how?
I mean, not necessarily friends. Like, she's married, he's married. Like, they're not together, but they're married, like, in their own other lives. They all got kids and all that. So I'm not the type of person that ever holds grudges.
Right.
But in the moment, it was definitely, like, hard. And what I got from that was, like, okay, the same thing. You know, like, this person I want to be with wants to be with other people. So it just brought a whole – and what she had did behind my back for so long, it just brought so many insecurities into the next relationship. Yeah. So it's like – now I'm like, oh my God, this person's going to cheat on me. This person's going to cheat on me. Because when the first one that you think you're going to be with and that you've been with forever and that you lose your virginity to and all that stuff, it's like, all right, now everyone's going to do that to you. Because if this person can do it to you, it feels like everybody can do it to you. So that took a while to unlearn. But that's basically the very first one that happened. And then obviously, you know, maybe like 2 years later, they broke up. I'm still single. It's like, hey, let's try it out again.
You're crazy.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Don't try it out again.
Right.
Basically, I wouldn't say the same thing happened because the dude wasn't my friend, but basically something similar happened. You know, I'm like about to go all in once again. And then started talking to another dude. I'm like, okay. Someone said, hey, you know that she, I'm like, oh, no, I didn't. Oh. So I brought it up. I'm a straightforward person. No. And then you end up finding out.
Exactly.
And then it's like, all right, I don't hate you, but this is not what we're doing anymore at that point. So that's like what I got from that one was bringing in the, like brought in so many insecurities for relationships. Like by myself, I was cool, but there isn't really anything that could have prevented that from happening. Right. Except I guess not being so naive. But when you're young, that's like, what else are you going to think?
So I want to ask about the transition, right? Because at least for me, from that point, I found myself kind of transitioned from the guy who was cheated on to the guy that girls ended up cheating with after that. Now, did you have a similar experience?
I want to say I was the guy that girls cheated with because I still didn't want to get involved in all that baby mama drama.
Right.
But it definitely changed my mindset of being like the traditional family man. And this is in early, like this is like early 20s, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm a 20-year-old kid, 21-year-old kid at this point. And it was just like, I'm going to do whatever I want.
Right.
Hang out, talk to multiple women, do that thing. Cause then I was going into college. So I'm like, all right.
Right.
I'm going to college. I'm not getting into a relationship. I was talking and hanging out with girls, but like, it wasn't like, didn't want to do anything serious until when it actually became serious. And then it's like, all right, here we go again.
Yeah. I just found it interesting because like you said, it kind of reshapes kind of your idea of what monogamy is. Right. I would say like for me, as far as, cause everybody has some sort of trust issue that stems from somewhere. For me, the biggest thing has been girls who have stepped out of their relationships to come and entertain me. That's kind of been my biggest thing when it comes to, well, that obviously plus, the being hurt, but also seeing what girls do outside of your own relationship. It makes you a little bit hesitant.
It's tough. Yeah.
To jump in those things.
It definitely does. It's definitely tough when you see other people doing that. But it's like the girls that do that, like, I don't know, they're not really the ones that you want to wife up anyways. Like you can kind of tell the caliber of a woman before you really jump into that. And I mean, my situation, like I couldn't. But the older you get, you can kind of see, okay, like what are her habits? What is her ambitions? What are her goals? Is she a godly woman? Things like that. And then you can kind of understand like, okay, this might be one that I can kind of settle down with. And also it goes back to the point that we talked, I believe, on the first episode of like, don't have sex early. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't say try, but like if they're willing to at that point, that I wouldn't say it's kind of a red flag, but it's kind of a red flag at that point. But those are just some things that you can look at. It's a slippery slope though. It's tough. But definitely if somebody's going to cheat on their boyfriend with you, right, they're going to cheat on you with somebody else. You know what I'm saying? If you don't think that, then you're not smart. That's going to happen. And
it's funny because the first time it happens, you just feel like she just really likes you that much, and obviously that's I think that's a thought process that kind of changes later when you're like, yeah, I mean, she for everybody, you know what I'm saying? Versus at the time,
it's like the thrill.
Exactly. Like when, during this time, I had a young lady who came to me. It was a girl who I had dated her before. So I had dated her and then we had broken up. And then she was with somebody else, this guy who had been pursuing her for a long time. Me and I was going to say we had beef. He had beef with me. We played football together. All that stuff. He wanted my spot on the field. I started over him. He wanted the girl that wanted me, all that other fun stuff. And she came to me, I remember one day, and told me a story. This is so egregious. She comes to me and tells me about how he's crying to her about how much he wants to be with her and how much he loves her, like literally crying, like tears falling from, and then tells me about basically after the conclusion of this conversation is that, but in my head, I'm single. So that's why I'm here with you right now. And I'm like, that hurts me more. That hurt me more than the first girl could have.
Man, it's just crazy that like, why did they can tell someone else's business like that? But that's how it is. Man.
That's how it is.
Sometimes women are just more like comfortable opening it up to people that are like, I guess, more relaxed. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's just how it is too. Was that like towards the college era, or that was like a little bit after high school?
This was later high school, basically. So transitioning there, and then
after that to I guess jump into the next one.
Yeah.
And what I learned was, I didn't date for a long time. Then I stayed in Ocala to finish my state.
Right.
Or went to a state college, finished my AA, and then I transferred to USF. Go Bulls.
Go Bulls,
baby. Go Bulls, baby. And that's when I'm like, I'm just going to be single. Like, I'm not going to get into a relationship with nobody. And then, boom, lo and behold.
Right.
What did I do? Got into another relationship.
Yeah.
And at the time, I just knew to myself, I'm like, I'm not good in relationships. I didn't know why.
Right.
Because I'm like, I still had that high school trauma that I really had to like sit down and heal with and didn't know what healing was or anything like that. And I was the most cool person single. Like I was so nonchalant. I didn't really care. Super cool. And like the less you care about certain things, the more attractive you can be. Like about like if a girl goes out and you're not like super on top. But as soon as I got into that relationship,
it's like a switch flips.
The insecurities were so loud, bro. Then it's just like, now I'm just tweaking, freaking out. Like, oh my God, where is she? What is she doing? Oh, I need to know where she is at all times. And it was just like all those insecurities that I got from that first relationship just bled in through that one. So that one didn't really last that long at all.
Right.
Because as soon as we got into it, the relationship or the insecurities like boom, 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 boom. Relationship ends.
Right.
Left it at that. That's a funny story to keep going into, but she was like in the college friend group, so I wasn't allowed to go to some of the weddings because of that. So
you got banned from a wedding?
Yeah, they'll grow up eventually. I'm not sure. This college was like 2016 and we're in 2024.
Jeez.
So they grow up eventually.
Yeah.
To go on to the, or I guess, what I learned from that one is don't let your insecurities rule you. Figure out what your insecurities are and heal them. Like mine was just basically being afraid to get cheated on again.
Right.
And like, that was it. And I tore that relationship up. Like that was 128% my fault. It's like, I messed that one up. But you got to be able to be self-aware after you get out of those relationships as well and be like, why didn't this work out? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it takes two to tango. Sometimes it's 100% you.
Right.
And you got to figure it out if it was or not. What's the next one you want to hop into? What's another one you got?
Post high school relationships. I moved to Florida when I was 19. Right. So that's kind of where I didn't really date when I was in college. I went to Frostburg State University, did 2 years there. Then I moved over here. So
Where's that at? Maryland?
Yeah, Maryland, Western Maryland, out in the mountains, about an hour away from West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Yeah, baby, West Virginia. So post high school, when I was living here on my own, I got into a situation-ish ship that ended up a relationship sort of thing. And one of the most important things that I learned, because basically giving really the main conclusion of it is when we were at a party, right? There was a time where I was entertaining more than one girl at a time. And it speaks to kind of how important it is, how you kind of start your relationship. I understand, it's not about how you start, it's how you finish, but how you start absolutely does matter.
It definitely matters way more than you think.
Yeah.
And in those previous relationships, like you think it doesn't matter as much, but it really, like the start of it is so
super important
to the longevity of that relationship.
Exactly. So when her and I had gotten involved, I was already involved with another girl that she was aware of, and she decided to continue with whatever it was. So fast forward, where 2 years
being is because they think that they'll win you.
That is what they feel.
Even if you tell them they won't, but that's
everybody feels like they're better than whoever else they're in competition with, and maybe it's true, but maybe it's not.
I feel that way.
So what happened was basically this is like years, 2-3 years in, and I'm not even really involved with this other girl at the time, but me being stupid, honestly, got involved with girls that I work with. Don't do that, by the way.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So we were all at a party together, and basically I had stepped out for 2 minutes to take a phone call. A friend of mine had called me. So I was having a conversation. I stepped back into the party. Everybody's running up to me, asking me, yo, did you just see what happened? And there's all this commotion. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So I went and found, and I don't know, maybe y'all can tell me if I was right or wrong in this, but basically the girl who I was with at the time had left, because this party was at an apartment. So I guess she had gone downstairs somewhere outside. But the other girl who I was no longer involved with was there still inside of the room that we were at. So I go to her and I say, what happened here? And she tells me it wasn't even anything. She had gone out to see if she could stay on the balcony or whatever the case is. And they were like, we don't really want you out here like that. We're not cool like that. So, if we could avoid each other, that would be great. And then I guess as she came back in, it was like a sliding door. Apparently somebody closed it on like her back foot or something like that. And people like blew it all out of commotion. Right. So I have this conversation where I'm like, all right. So as I'm having this conversation with her, the girl who I was with is calling me. She's called me like 5 times. I'm not answering the phone because I'm having this conversation with her. So I have this conversation. That conversation's over. And then I go down to find the other girl. And and I'm like, yo, what's going on? She slaps me. She slapped me 3 times. And then that's when I gently moved her away from me and asked her to please not place her hands on me, in which from there she stepped forward and slapped me 2 more times. I have scars on my face. I got the beard now. You can't see it. Yeah, I had like a scratch on my face and on my neck.
From the nails?
Yeah, from the nails.
I know a little bit about that.
Yeah, right. And basically from there, I'm trying to figure out, obviously, in the moment, what's going on. Because the girl has never put her hands on me before. So in this moment, I'm very confused. We're out in this parking lot. It's out in the open. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. So that night I end up going back home, whatever. But crazy because of the fact that at this point, I wasn't even doing anything. Like, if you're going to slap me when I'm doing something. You know what I'm saying? You should have slapped me before when I actually was involved with everybody at the same time. 100%. Not now. But what I mainly learned from that is, like I said, the beginning of how you start is super important, because those issues about the trust and everything was still there from there. Because her thing was that, why did you go find her before you came and talked to me? I'm like,
something little. Yeah.
I'm like, she was there. Who am I supposed to get it from? And, besides the source, right? Because you're going to tell me a story happened one way. She's going to tell me a story. I know you a little bit dramatic sometimes. So, whatever it is. But yeah, how you start is very important, because it's going to affect basically how those reactions go, especially when it comes to a situation where everybody like that is involved.
Yeah, you really got to, especially if you're going to be a player or play the field or just stay single and hang out with women. Like, you really got to set the expectations and boundaries
right
ahead of time.
But even when you know, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't. But that's what I'm saying. Like,
you just get to say you did.
Exactly. At that point, at least you tried.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you might not be right, because, the guy's typically not going to be right in that situation.
Right.
You're still going to get slapped 8 times, 5 times, whatever.
You get an E for effort.
Yeah. But at least you set the standard and expectation to where, you weren't just trying to manipulate them the whole time.
Correct.
So 100% agree. You got to really set the standard and expectation at the beginning of the relationship as well. What's the next one you want to hop into? I got a couple good ones too.
Yeah. Let's talk about it, man. So let's talk about your post high school, college. Let's talk about.
So I got one that was after college, and this one should have never even been a relationship for multiple reasons. But I definitely learned a lot from this relationship. One, it was my girl best friend. So sometimes it's good for a guy to have a girl he can vent to.
Right.
Because not all the times is guys going to be able to vent to other guys.
Right. So clap it up for Brandon making it out the friend zone.
Made it right at the friend zone numerous times. Come on, dog. But not only were we she was my girl best friend.
Right.
She'd also dated one of my college buddies.
Oh,
so
okay.
made it all the reason why not to hop into a emotional relationship with this person.
Right.
So at that point, number one, don't do those 2 things. Just listen and don't do it. If she's been dating in your friend group, leave it alone.
Right.
If
it just makes sense.
she's your girl best friend, leave her there. Leave her there. Because at the time, because she was the girl that I would talk to about all my relationship problems. So it was always good to get that girl's point of view. But you live and you learn. Can't take anything back. But what I learned from that one is I got into that relationship, and because I had cared about her as an individual and human being so much, she would start to say all these things like, oh, I want you to do this, and do this. I want you to act this way or wear this. And it got to a point to where she's telling me all these things that she wants me to be and do. And I'm doing them.
And it's not you.
And it's not me. So in a sense, I'm actually conforming to this ideology of what she thinks she wants.
Right.
And in the process, losing who I am as an individual.
And probably losing her too.
And as soon as I lost who I am as an individual, then 100% gone.
Right.
Gone. So it's what I learned from that one is stay true to yourself.
Right.
Literally, women are going to say they want certain things, but it's like a fad. It's like fashion. What's in fashion right now? It's oversized pants, clothes, and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, pinstripes and plaid is going to come back, just like it was when I was in middle school.
As soon as the seasons change.
Maybe I don't know about. Well, I still wear plaid, but it's never out of style for me, baby. But it's just it's just a fad. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like she may think that she wants that, but she really doesn't. So if she's with you, she wants you. So don't lose who you are in the process of trying to please your significant other. And that's what I learned the most. So I don't regret getting into that relationship because I did learn that super valuable lesson, which probably would have learned at a more difficult time. But I think that, I never regret anything that I've done in the past, but learn from that mistake of just not hopping into it.
Right.
But definitely don't lose yourself in the process of trying to please others. And that goes for any kind of relationship, because a lot of people are going to tell you like, hey, you should do this, you should do that. No, figure out who the hell you are and stay true to that and continue to get better as an individual and strive to be the best version of yourself each and every day. Don't change for nobody else. Be who the fuck you are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was a great learning lesson at that point. So it was always really good for me after a failed relationship is to sit down and really reflect like what actually went wrong.
Yeah, I think another important takeaway from that, from her perspective, is we all have this idea of what we want. Attempting to change the person in front of you to something that you've decided you wanted and they're none of those things is never a good expectation to set. Because now, let's say a girl likes me, but she likes guys who are 6'4". If you could just be taller for me, that would be great. If you could just be a little lighter skin for me, that would be great. It's like, why get into that knowing that you have this idea of which I get it, because obviously preference versus a non-negotiable, right? So it's something that you want, but you're willing to do something else. That's fine. But getting there and deciding to get into it and then deciding, I want you, but just this version of you that you're not anywhere close to being.
Yeah, the right one is going to want you and want all of you.
Exactly.
And if they don't, still stay true to who you are. They'll go find the person that's meant for them.
Right.
And if you ever seen a funny thing I used to always joke about with all my relationships or just girls that I talked to was, you ever see the movie Good Luck Chuck? You know what I'm talking about? With Dane Cook and Jessica Alba. So Dane Cook basically, like, in the movie, it's like every girl he sleeps with right after him, they end up finding the person that they marry. So all those three that I've already mentioned, right after, or at least the first one in high school, the second one after, like they're all married. They're all currently married now.
Okay.
So it was like really funny, like early on in my dating life. It's just like right after, it's like, damn, they moved on and got married. So I'm like, damn, this is real life Good Luck Chuck. So if you ever seen that movie, it's a great movie. Watch that. I just wanted to mention that because I thought it was super funny. It's not really relevant now, but during the time it was super relevant. I'm like, this is actually like kind of comical to think about. But
right.
What else?
So transitioning, to the next stage of my life, so this is,
What year are we in now?
Let's see, we're probably in, what year are we in? 2024. Let's call it probably like 2018.
Okay. Yeah. I think that was maybe around that. Was this
AIL days,
okay.
baby? let's go AIL days, man. So obviously during this point, selling insurance, we're working 70, 80 hours a week or whatever, some crazy number.
9 to 9 most of the days, Monday to Friday. 8 to whatever on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Sunday, try to get your shit together and do it all again.
Just do it all over again. I had gotten involved with a young lady.
This is a situationship?
This was a situationship. It was an accident, bro. I as doing some self-reflection in my life, I realized that I've accidentally gotten involved with most of the girls I've been involved with. And that's at least one of the things that I'm working on now is being more intentional with my relationship before getting into something, saying, this is what I want. I'm pursuing you because this is what I want, instead of just running into some girl and then we do whatever from there, because it makes it a lot easier to set a clear boundary and a clear expectation at the beginning when you go in there actually looking for something. Because I wasn't looking for anything.
Correct.
I was just running around doing whatever. But basically we got involved. And I mean, like I said, I didn't mean to. Basically, I was helping her out with some things because obviously she worked with us as well. Don't get involved with your coworkers. We were working together.
Say that louder for me.
Don't get involved with your coworkers, bro. It does. I'm 0 for 3. It doesn't work. So I was just helping her out with a few things, and we ended up just a little bit closer than what we needed to be or than what I expected.
Closer, yeah, like laying down next to each other.
Just a little bit closer.
Let me help you with something, baby.
Yeah, right.
Lay on this pillow.
We got a presentation I need you to go through real quick. So basically, it got to we were involved probably for a year and some change, and it got to a very unhealthy point. Basically, it got to a point where basically she was yelling at me on the phone every day, cussing me out because obviously I wasn't doing all the right things that I was supposed.
I'm joking. We're gonna leave ethnicity out of this,
sir. Yeah, we because basically I was at a point where I wasn't trying to be exclusively involved with anybody, but obviously that's something that she wanted, and she wanted me to be much more present than I could be at the time, given some some circumstances. Right. And basically there came to a day where she had called me. It was, I want to say, almost 400 times, starting at 8 a.m. Right. We started the day.
Call the cops. Go home. Fly back to Maryland.
It's crazy. So we started the day like that. She's calling me throughout the day. By the end of the day, I think it was like 387 calls that she had placed to me from 9 different phone numbers. Because I would block one, she would get like a text now number, start calling me from that. And this was at a point where I was training somebody, by the way.
She's committed.
Yeah, she was committed. So I'm training somebody. They're in my car as we're driving and we're going into houses and doing presentations while my phone is blowing up. So she calls me, like I said, almost 400 times from about 9 different phone numbers. And then it also got to a point where she showed up to my apartment. So I had came home one day. It's probably like 9 p.m. and I see a message on my door. So she did this with Post-it notes and tape. And spelled it.
This is the scary stories part.
Yeah, right. So she's spelling out basically, and it's letter by letter, right? So this took time to do. Mind you, at the time, her license was suspended. So her friend drove her there to my apartment to do this. By the way she got my address is because she took my license out of my wallet one day and took a picture of it. There was just a lot of problems from the beginning.
Dedication, commitment. That's a keyword.
You know, if you really took that and channeled it toward the right thing, she'd be a mogul right now. So she leaves a note on my door. I get home. I take the note off. Obviously, I take it off. I throw it in the trash, right? So I'm thinking, cool. I'm done for the night. This was crazy. Cool. Then I get banging on my door, right? I'm like, who's obviously I'm like, well, there's only one person who would be banging on my door at this time. So I open it and she's there. She's like, we need to talk. I'm like, you're not coming in here. This is absolutely not what's going to happen. So I end up coming outside, closing the door behind me because I'm like, whatever this is, I need to get rid of her right now. And so she's yelling at me in this parking lot. It got to a point where she ran up to me like she was about to hit me and like she was about to put her hands on me, you know, but you know, I've been here before, you know, so I you know, I stood in the pocket. I'm like, what's up? You know what I'm saying? This is just what it is right now. So she didn't end up putting her hands on me and I did, you know, shout out to her for that. But then she starts kicking my car. So you win some, you lose some in terms of your battles. So she starts kicking my car and I'm like, bro, you know, are we done here? Like, you need to go. But this was because I had obviously blocked her because when you call me that many times in the day, I don't know what we expect.
Why was she acting like that? Did you like fraternize with somebody else?
It wasn't that.
And she found out?
No, it wasn't another girl. Basically it was some circumstances which we may have to talk about offline here.
I know what you're talking about.
But basically, yeah, she yeah. So with that, obviously she ends up going home. And I ended up texting the friend who brought her there because he worked with us too.
Okay.
And that was her guy best friend. You know how that goes.
I know how that
You're
goes.
right. I'm like, come on now. Because if I have a girl best friend, I'm not driving you to some guy's house at 9 p.m. to leave a note on it because I care about you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing that. I have a lot of friends that are women. I would never do anything. I'm like, this is stupid. What are we doing?
Yeah, move on.
Yeah, crazy. So yeah, she ends up going back home. I ended up texting him. She ends up texting me for texting him, saying, "Don't talk to him." I'm like, look, bro. Like, first of all, y'all are both out of your minds for doing this. He just likes you, and that's why he's doing this, doing whatever you tell him to do.
Being a little puppet,
right?
Yeah.
You gotta relax, though. Conforming, hoping that one day he will be exactly what she wants. But long story short, today we're at least cordial. Like if I were to text her or call her today, she'd probably pick up. We'd probably have a fun conversation. Actually, a continuation of that afterwards. She ends up sleeping with my best friend.
These best friends, man.
It's great. Now, this at a time we're like 23, so it's supposed to mean something at that point.
Yeah.
Mind you, my best friend lived in Maryland.
Makes it even harder for that task to get accomplished. But once again, she's a dedicated individual.
Where there's a will,
where
there's a will, there's a way.
You would think she would have excelled in insurance.
Oh my gosh, right?
That level of commitment.
That determination. I'm like, bro, because I would tell her that she's crazy. She was like, I'm not crazy, I'm passionate. I'm like, passion is just crazy with a focus. And if you really decided to focus this on something else, man, you will be different.
Different sales animal. Different
literally, man. Sure. Yeah. And
so what do we learn? What do we learn from this situation?
So the main thing,
and what can you help
somebody else?
Yeah. How can you tell like somebody listening, like how to prevent that? Because that's a crazy ass situation. I would never want to be in that. I mean, I already know how to prevent that now, but basically
the way that I could have prevented it at the time was making an executive decision. Because basically we had a lot of conversations in which I would tell her, I'm like, hey, so I've been very clear about what my intentions here are and about what exactly I want and don't want. And so basically the way I have these discussions is, as I say, this is what I am looking for. So if this is not what you are looking for, this is not something that we should do. And this is a face-to-face conversation, right? So if you have questions, ask me the questions. If you have concerns, tell me the concerns. Let's have a conversation about it. So we had that conversation multiple times because she would say, okay, yeah, I got it. We're on the same page. And then she would do something to make it seem like, okay, it's the way that you're acting right now makes it seem like you want something a little bit different than what we previously discussed. So, circling back, how we do in corporate, right? Circling back to my original communication, this is what I said I wanted, and this is how you're acting as if it's something different. And she tells me, oh, I'm a grown woman. I can handle myself. I don't need you. I'm like, I just don't think we should do this. And she's like, I'm fine. I'm like, right, but it doesn't seem like I'm good. You don't need to worry about me. I don't need you making decisions for me. Okay.
But you should. But
I should have at that point, because then I let it continue. And then that's where we end up. When really, if I had just decided to make that executive decision at the time where I saw where it was going, we wouldn't have had that problem.
So basically everything, I don't know how that phone call keep going through, but basically everything that happens to us in our lives is based on a result of actions we did or we didn't do.
Absolutely.
So essentially everything that we do and don't do is always going to be our fault.
Exactly.
So to jump into the next one, did you have what? I'm trying to think what. I mean, I guess I could just go right into this.
I mean, crazy story for crazy story.
What's the craziest one? Say the craziest breakup. I mean, I guess I could talk about my AIL fling too. But I mean that wasn't as crazy.
Right.
But to make a long story real short, just don't manipulate girls into liking you. It never really works out in the end. If you're trying to manipulate somebody into having the same feelings that you have for them,
right?
Like, just it's not going to work. You're going to be even more heartbroken by the end of it. So don't even engage in that. But to fast forward to a wonderful story of one of my relationships. This is not that long ago. This is a few years ago. How do I want to start this one? This is a time in my life where, I was done being a little fuck boy, done being a little playboy, done, trying to talk to multiple women and do all that kind of.
You're ready to commit.
Yeah, do all that kind of nonsense stuff. And, I just got out of one a few years ago. So my golden rule is always you got to wait at least a minimum of a year after a relationship to really like fully get over that person and to move on.
So what's the purpose of that year, that gap year, let's call it?
It's just there's a lot, like once you're in a relationship, you're spending time with this person. I just feel like you need a lot of time to get your thoughts away from that person. Like if you tell somebody you love them, you're not just going to stop loving them 6 months down the road. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it's going to take a while to really process the emotions to move on. So I always say a minimum of a year.
It's like the withdrawal period after you get off drugs.
Exactly. So like, it's like, give yourself a year. That's just my rule. Do I always listen to it? No. And that's why I'm.
But it's there.
That's why it's there. That's why I'm 31 and still single. Like it is what it is. But that's just a rule of thumb, of preference, so to speak, to like fully wait a year to like fully get over that person that you're with. Money's good. Ready to settle down and commit. So I get into a relationship and everything's good. It's the best relationship you'll ever see on social media.
Right.
Like when this one ended, people were like, oh my God, I thought you were so happy. Oh my God. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, you saw the highlight reel. You really saw the highlight reel.
Absolutely.
And, at the time, that's just what I was trying to portray was, that highlight reel of everything. I got the best looking girl. I'm having a time of my life. I'm the dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm living life. I'm having a good time. But early on in that relationship, we had encountered some difficulties. It got a little aggressive. Okay. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And me being the kind of person when I'm already set on something, I'm set on it. So I'm like, okay, no, I'm going to see the best in this person. Super apologetic, super kind after the fact that everything had happened. I'm like, yeah, it's not going to happen again. Not going to happen again. Like, we'll be good. And plus, I posted it on my social media. So I'm not going to be that person that post one girl now and then like post another girl 2 months down the road. Because those people that do that, please seek some fucking mental health. Like, bro, like there's no way you love a dude 2 months later, you break up with him and then you're with another dude and you love him too. Bro, seek some fucking help. Like that ass. Like that's absurd.
You just don't have to publicize every relationship that you're in.
So at that point, I'm like, no, like I really like this person. I love this person at the time.
Okay.
What I'm thinking. And I'm really going to try.
And what age were we at? What year are we talking about here?
This is like recent, like 3-4 years ago.
Okay.
At the beginning of the relationship, like 3.5-4 years ago. No, I guess, like 4 years ago, call it 4 years ago. What are we in, 2024? Yeah. So I guess around 2020, end of 2020, 2021, around that time. Keep moving forward. Couple months down the road, happens again.
Okay.
Not as aggressive. I'm like, okay. All right.
So second time she's
time.
Gotten a little physical.
After the first aggressive episode, you got to get out of there. Just point blank period. It is what it is. Cut your losses, move on. You'll find somebody else.
Was there a conversation after the first time?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
And so what did that go like?
It's like night and day. It's just super apologetic. Never happened again.
Right. But from your standpoint, what were you saying? So were there like a boundary setting or were you just accepting an apology?
Really just accepting.
Okay.
And that's not the right thing to do. Of course, you got to set that boundary. It wasn't until the third time where I was like, all right, like, yo,
this is a habit now.
Yeah. If this happens again, like, all right, we definitely like this is getting a little crazy. You know what I'm saying? Third time's not really a charm in this situation. Like, if it happens again, like, yo, we just got to go separate ways.
Right.
And then it was all sunshine and rainbows for the longest time. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's all right, not happen again. But that she was still like a little bit insecure on some things. So obviously working in the club, it makes it a little bit difficult to see your man talking to girls
Of
or
course.
whatnot. Even though in this relationship, like I barely ever talk to girls. Some girl they go talk to my host over there. They'll take care of you. I'm not.
This
doing
is
it.
true.
Very
I
true.
can verify.
Very true. But yeah, no, go talk to them. I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk to them. I'm not. Don't even want to be seen talking to girls, stuff like that. So obviously, but I did work in the club, so the insecurities would arise. And then it wasn't for a very long time where, like maybe like 5 months later, another episode happened. Then it started to get a little rocky. It's like, all right, this is it. You know what I'm saying? It's going downhill. And what then it's just like it just got like real rough, and we would like quote unquote break up every week. Every week
breaking up.
That's what it felt like. It's like, all right, we're done. You know, okay, all right. And then this point in time, I'm getting blamed for doing things I'm not doing.
Right. My favorite.
And this is warning you, this is a hot podcast. You know, just like the church
Transformation Church, humble, open, and transparent.
Michael Todd's church, hot church, humble, open, and transparent. So everything I'm saying happened. After we were breaking up, you know what I'm saying? We're going through these stages of being together and breaking up, and I'm getting blamed for things I'm not doing, and we're getting some fights, and I'm just like, I'm getting in trouble for things that I was accused of before the relationship. It's just like a lot of like crazy things happening, and I'm mentally checking out. Like, okay.
Right.
We quote unquote break up. I talked to another girl. Engaged with another female. We really, really break up after that.
Okay, so I'm sorry. So you started talking to a girl who was engaged to a girl.
No. I mean, I hooked up with another girl after we broke up.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, understood.
So I got broken up with again.
Okay.
So then I did this. So this is all leading to the story of the big bang. Right. Big bang, essentially.
There we go.
You know what I'm saying? The reason why I don't drink anymore. The main reason why I don't drink anymore. Kind of finds out, and now it really ends. And I'm like, okay, I wasn't man enough to fully end it myself. You know what I'm saying? Like after the last, physical altercation, like I tried to, but still like a little.
You didn't make the executive decision.
I tried to so bad, I had it written out, and I didn't really like pull the trigger on it.
Right.
So then this happens, and it really does end at this point. And I'm like, okay, this is what's, rough, but this is what's for the best.
Right.
Week later, maybe like a week later, get back together. It's like, okay. She just pulls up to the crib. Like, oh, hey, I got to get some stuff. Sure, go get your stuff. Obviously.
You know how I go. Coming over.
It's like, all right, cool.
I got a hair tie under the dresser that I forgot.
Literally. So then at that point, obviously, like, have the conversation again. Then it's like, all right, let's try and work it out again. I'm still talking to other women at this point.
Right.
Like now I'm legit single.
You're single.
Talking to other girls, having conversations, because I haven't had conversations this whole time with barely like no women, literally never had conversations with them during this relationship. And then wake up.
Okay.
To her going to my phone. It's like, oh, all right, here we go again. All
Best part about waking up, baby.
Right? And then, another little big fight ensued from that. And then basically we just had conversations like, all right, like, what are we doing? Like, we're going to be together, not going to be together. And then we kind of came to the conclusion of, all right, let's try it out. Let's try it out again. Everything was going great.
Of course.
Everything was going great again. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I felt like we had put some things behind us. Everything was going good. And then we went out for her birthday to like Hollow Scream.
Okay, Busch Gardens.
No, Halloween Horror Nights, my bad. Okay. Universal.
Okay.
The one in Orlando.
Gotcha.
Great time. So that was like, I felt like, all right, we're getting back to normal. We're getting back to where it was. The very next night, and this is the last time I ever drank. So we all know what happened in the morning. Oh, and if you don't, you're about to find out. So the very next night, we go out to dinner, celebrate her birthday. The dinner already starts off like bringing up something from the past. I'm just like, no.
The dinner started like that?
It started like that.
Jeez.
I'm just like, no, man. Like, we just had a great.
we were having a good day.
We just had a good time the day before. And I'm just like, no. I'm like, oh man. So it starts off with already like something that she got stuck in her head.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, man, I don't know why that girl's bringing that up to you. Like, that happened way before, we were dating. So it's like basically a chick was bringing up something that happened before. I'm like, that's very weird that she would do that, but I have no idea why she's doing that.
Yeah.
Dinner goes on. The whole night ensues, and let's just say another one of those aggressive episodes happen. I'm going to leave out all the details for everybody. But basically, the night ends with both of us hammered and a very, very aggressive situation happening. That leaves me waking up to an AR-15 in my face from cops.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
a very, very eventful night, to say the least. And basically, I go to jail for domestic violence. And if you don't know, the law in Florida, probably in most states, is that if you ever live with the person, so you're in your situation where the girl slapping you, if she lived with you, she could have went to jail.
Right.
Had she not lived with you, it's not as much domestic. But if they have lived with you, it's domestic. So she had lived with me prior to that situation.
But obviously wasn't living with you at the time.
Exactly. Wasn't living with me at the time because remember we broke up and then tried to work it back out. So because of that situation, all they need is probable cause, which is a story to tell, essentially. And all that ensued. They come to me. They see all the footage on the Ring camera, but I'm already in cuffs and in the cop car at this point.
Right.
And it's just like, okay, like there's no way. I didn't do anything. They're not going to take me.
Right.
But obviously I didn't know the law fully. But if you had lived together with that person, like it's domestic violence.
So basically whoever calls the cops wins, basically. Essentially.
And it's funny, like this happened to me because this has been over 2 years now since that arrest happened. I've heard other stories about this happening, and I'm just like, this is so crazy. Like how
common it is.
How common it is, and it's when you live with somebody, it's domestic forever. So even if she see me on the side of the road and just hits me, and that's still domestic. Like someone could still go to jail. It would
still be domestic violence, even though you currently have no affiliation.
Correct.
Forever. That's crazy.
Forever. As long as you've lived with somebody and you've been in a relationship with them or a emotional relationship with them, it's domestic forever.
Wow.
So that happens. I'm in the back of the cop car, literally, because they woke me up from the bed sleeping. So I'm only in my boxers. My roommate, which is my best friend. That happened from the original situation.
Yeah.
That's how we became best friends. When my best friend left me, basically left our relationship to be with my girlfriend, and my girlfriend left our relationship to be with him.
Right.
I became best friends with with Max and Danny, who I was both best men at each one of their weddings.
Right.
So, and my other buddy just got married this year in August, but. He's just like, yo, can you guys at least give him some boxers? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, or give him some pants. I had only boxers on in the back of the car.
To take you to jail in your drawers.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, crazy. we don't want that, bro. I was like, yeah, I'm not holding this pocket in there. I was actually going to be the kingpin. But to keep going on that story, they're in there talking to my roommate. He's like showing them all the Ring camera footage because obviously he was there, so he knows what happened to everything that happened. And basically, they just come back out. They're like, sorry. We got to do this. Like, it's protocol at this point. I'm just like, oh, shit. Like, I'm really going. They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I get there. And mind you, this is on a Thursday morning at like 9 a.m. And we work Thursday nights.
Yeah.
I work Thursday nights.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, that's cool. It's I've never gotten a DUI, but I've heard the stories where like people, they're only in there like overnight. So it's really quick. So I'm like, all right, this is going to be really quick.
Right.
Get to jail. Scratch marks on my chest.
Yeah.
And the cops are just making jokes with me. They're like, oh,
that's crazy.
You got attacked by the cat. I'm like, yeah, it was a good one. They was like making jokes with me the whole time. And I was like getting in there. They're like, we got to go book you and all that. And I'm like, all right, how long till I can get out? Because I got work tonight. They're like, oh no, man, domestic's minimum 24 hours. I'm like, now I'm gonna lose my job. I'm not gonna make it to work.
No call, no show.
Yeah, I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, now that's when I started freaking out. I'm like, damn, okay, now everyone's about to find out. Yeah. Now all you guys already know the story. But I was like, damn, now everyone's gonna find out. Like, no, because I'm gonna miss work. Now GM, the owner, everyone's gonna know. Get there, gotta take the mug shot. I was smiling too big in the first one.
Come on, man. You gotta take something serious.
You can't smile. So now I'm smirking the second one. So if you guys find it, make me a t-shirt of it. So I'm still like kind of smirking in the second one. But I go there and it is a terrible experience. Like I tell you, and when I was getting out of there, I was in there for 38 hours, man. Because even I had to be there minimum 24. Then you can go into like the little court with everybody. They're like, don't say anything because everything can be used against you. I'm like, all right, bro. I don't like this place is not for me.
Right.
Then you got to wait for them to be able to like post your bail. Then you got to get bailed out. Then you got to wait another 4 or 5 hours. So I was in there from like that early morning Thursday to I didn't get out. And literally went home straight to work. 12 o'clock.
I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that? Right? I remember that. Hey, let's have a conversation. Let's see what really happened.
I remember getting the news about what happened.
Yeah. A lot of people did. You know, I missed my chiropractic appointment. They're like, "Hey, get this woman beater out of here." But everything got dropped. Like that. What I got charged for it, or nothing got convicted. So, but even just leaving the jail, bro. I was like, thank God. And I'm telling the dude, I'm like, yo, this is the first and last time you guys will ever see me. I appreciate the field trip opportunity. It was a great experience.
Beyond scared straight.
I'm out of here. But not really relationship related, but actually just being in jail, man. I was just trying to make friends.
Right.
So I'm like, yo, if something happens to me, I need to have some friends on my side. So I'm like, they give you like little like shitty food and like little sweets and stuff. And people ask me like, yo, you can have mine. Yeah. Dapping them up and stuff like that. So it's like, making friends. So if anything bad happened, I was good to go. And then I met this other dude in there, and he was in there for like his third domestic violence.
Jeez.
And second one with the same woman. And he's just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go back to her. Man, that's my girl. I'm like, hey, bro, what are you talking about?
You're an idiot.
Yeah. But he was like helping me like get the phones because everyone's on the phones. And he's like, yeah, I got a bondsman for you. But they had already bonded me out and stuff. But still had it all set up. Got my one phone call, called my buddy and said, hey, I need you to go get my phone. Right. And post in the chat who's working tonight. And then I also need you to text my GM and let him know the situation. But yeah, that's the story on that.
So what did you learn? What can somebody take away from an experience like this?
Easily to like read the signs from the beginning. People are going to show you who they are. Don't try and change that. And I wouldn't change anything that happened because something I think is really good that came from it is that I don't drink anymore. And what I really thought, had I not been so drunk that night, I could have easily or a lot easier left the situation instead of just trying to sleep in my car because that's literally what happened. Right. I could have easily left that situation being sober. So that was part of the reason. But basically, what I learned from that one is people are going to show you exactly who they are. Don't try and change that. Right. Like at the end of the day, no matter how much time, effort, energy you got invested in that person, like if they show you who they are and that's not who you want to be with, you got to get out of there. Right. And one thing that you can't really accept is like someone being that aggressive. Right. And it's like, if that's who you are as a person, if that's the kind of stuff that you like, sure, by all means, stay in it. But, that really wasn't me. And I just felt like I was already too far caught up in it for me to want to walk away. But hindsight is always 20/20.
It's always 20/20.
The people are going to show you who they are. Just listen to them. But I, just like anything that's ever happened in my life, I don't ever regret the decisions that I've made in the past because I've always learned something from it and something good has came out of it. And at the time, it was just like, that night I get out, I go to work, it's like, hey, stop drinking. Right. I'm like, okay. But me I have an addictive personality sometimes, like, okay. I got a wedding. One of my other buddies' wedding was a month after that. And I'm like, okay, I'll just stop a month and then drink. And then, that month came and it's like, okay, well, I already made it a month. Let me just start 75 hard. So start 75 hard. That's another 2.5 months. Right. Okay. Well, now I'm already this far. Did 75 hard. And then it's like, okay, how far can I go? Then it's just like, not today, not today. When are you drinking? Not today. It's like, all right, when are you drinking? Not today. I still get asked to this day, like, when are you drinking? Bro, I don't even drink anymore. So it's like, I didn't just wake up one morning and say, hey, I'm not going to drink. Right. I had thoughts about it, and me and that previous ex had talked about it. Like, hey, like maybe we should stop drinking one day. You know what I'm saying? And it just all happened to where it just ended up working out. And now two years later, a little over 2 years later now, still no alcohol. But if you want to know the story of how that started, that was the last time I ever drank.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the last time I ever drank. You know, it was an accumulation of things. You know, owners like, hey, stop drinking. And then I just took that and ran with it. And now people always ask me, he's like, when are you going to? When are you going to? I'm like, as soon as I make $1 million, you know what I'm saying? Or as soon as I have $1 million in capital, something like that. And still at that point, who knows? Maybe I will or won't. But if you see me with a drink before, then just, you have permission to slap me. But yeah, typically that's just the next goal I've been telling myself after that. But that was a very eventful ending. Probably the worst ending to a relationship that you can happen is probably getting locked up. And you really learn a lot and you sit with that. And it led to, you know, a little dark time. Yeah. You know, a little rough time, dark time. Because you're not only, you know, you're now, because you're getting charged, it doesn't just go away immediately. Right. So now your mind's thrown. Like the worst thing that can happen is that you get convicted of these charges now. Exactly. And you know, it's a felony. That can be on your record. That would be on your record forever. So it's a lot of crazy things to think about. It's like, all right, think about my job, this crazy ass felony that can stay on my record. Right. Not only on that, like you're actually going through a relationship for a person that you cared about, or a breakup for a person that you cared about. And then that's when my mom's husband got diagnosed with cancer. Like a lot of things in that time frame were just boom, 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 boom. Right. Happening. Which led me to not make the most smart decisions with, you know, other women around me. Right, of course. Which led to some other dumb choices. Right. But then, you know, led to a little bit of positive light of actually being into another relationship, which I broke my golden rule of not waiting a full year. So, but obviously that relationship had ended. So who knows if I waited a full year, but how everything was happening and, you know, the super, super dark time, like it's a very dark, depressing thing to go through, like getting arrested, going through a crazy breakup like that. It's not fun. That relationship was like the light of everything. Right. So that relationship definitely helped me get through that dark time. Right. Good. So the main thing, obviously, that, because just to kind of, I guess, a recap, right? So, because the main purpose of this is to talk about things that we've learned and where we are today. So just kind of recapping a few things, right, from the beginning, you know, way, way, way back then until now. Number one, obviously, making the executive decision when you see things aren't going the way that they're supposed to be going. Understanding that how you start a relationship is very, very crucial, because whatever you do in the start, you're either going to have to keep doing or undo it later, depending on what it is. Obviously, understanding the person that you're with and not trying to make them something that they're not, you know, and then obviously a few of the things that you learned as well. Yeah, it was, you know, the very first one, not to be so naive. I mean, the very last one that happened too, I guess I finished touching up on that one as we start to close up here, is not only was the mistake of, you know, leaving one relationship and getting into another one a little bit too quickly, in my opinion. You know, hindsight's always 20/20, but it's always, sometimes we think with our heart and not our head, right? Because we go based on how someone makes us feel, and if someone makes us feel good or makes it feel homey, like we want to keep them around. You know what I'm saying? That's just, we're human beings at the end of the day. That's what we want. I would say that in the which is the very last relationship, the things that started at the beginning, like I kind of got away from and got a little too comfortable as well. So being too comfortable in a relationship and not really giving yourself time in between relationships will really hinder the current one that you're in as well. So that one ended up ending on good terms, which is night and day better than the last one. You know what I'm saying? A mutual agreement to be cordial and stay friends, which is a beautiful thing, because that doesn't happen very often. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people hate their exes, man. Yeah. A lot of people hate them. No hate or animosity with the very last one, and that's good. But yeah, that's basically a recap of everything. Towards the middle, don't conform. Yeah. You know, don't conform to somebody and what they think that they want you to do. At the end of the day, you just got to be yourself. They're with you because you're you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
They're not with you because you're somebody else. They're with you because you're you. So they might give you suggestions of what to do, but at the end of the day, don't do that. Figure out what your insecurities are and why you have them. Because in that early on college relationship I was afraid that I would get cheated on.
Right.
At the end of the day, we can't control anybody and what they do. If they want to cheat, they're going to cheat. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if you've been with them for 1 year or 21 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. You cannot control that. So that shouldn't even be an insecurity for anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. And then just move on and find somebody who's not. So find somebody who understands what monogamy is. You know what I'm saying? Someone that can just be with you. And then if somebody shows you who they are, believe it. You know what I'm saying? Don't try and change them either. You know what I'm saying? No matter what they say or how much they say they love you or they're sorry, if they show you who they are, like, that's who they are. Right. And then you make the executive decision of if you want to be with them or not. Yeah. And at that point, keep moving forward from there. What else I want to say? I feel like we talked a lot.
Yeah, we did.
We talked a lot. You guys got some insider information. Not that many people know about that story. So, yeah. I don't know what else to touch on to. I'm sure as soon as we stop recording this episode, I'm gonna be like, oh, I should have said that. But I'm like, that was it took a lot to share because I don't know how many people are going to listen to that. But that's a very personal story to me. Yeah. But it led to something great. Led to something. Led to me not drinking anymore, which has been awesome and amazing in my life. And had that not happened, I probably wouldn't have happened. Yeah. To be honest, sometimes it takes a crazy situation for you to like really reevaluate yourself and stuff. So I don't really blame anybody or anything for things happening. I don't hold any grudges. I feel like if you hold grudges, that is just going to hurt you worse. You know what I'm saying? If you hate somebody, like somebody hates me, for example, I don't care. Like you're hurting yourself more for hating me because your opinion is irrelevant. My biggest thing
always been people's issues with you is exactly that. It's their issue.
Their issue.
That's what it is.
So at the end of the day, I don't hold any grudges. I don't regret anything that's ever happened in my relationships, and you guys shouldn't either. Like at the end of the day, like it's shaping you or it shaped you. And if you're going through one of these kind of relationships or going through a breakup like that, like
praying for you.
Yeah, we'll pray for you, but like let it shape you. Like it's happening for you for a reason. Figure out what you can take from it and what you can learn from it, because at the end of the day, you got to keep growing as an individual. You have to always have these self-reflections after these kind of things happen to you. Yeah. Or for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anything else?
Lastly, obviously, number one, thank you for joining us on our Halloween edition, listening to our spooky stories. With that being said, obviously, we do live in Tampa, Florida. So Halloween weekend, please do be safe.
Please. The 1 year anniversary vigil, everyone's going to have lights in their they dropped off candle lights.
Oh, wow.
For all the businesses on 7th Ave for the 1 year anniversary of that. Crazy mass shooting that happened last year. Or call it mass shooting, whatever you want to call it. That's the technical term. But, yeah. Stay safe. Be aware of your surroundings. Go with the buddy system. Because it is Halloween, but always just stay safe.
If it feels bad, get out, man. If it feels bad, if it look crazy, you just feel the energy. Because sometimes you just feel the energy shift and automatically like, I just need to be somewhere else right now. Get out.
Sir. All right. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We will see you next week for another episode of the Real Deal Podcast. Thank you guys. Love you all.